I don't like cliches. Every time there is live sport on a sports channel, they say it's a Super Saturday. This is not a Super Saturday. It's a Super-4 Saturday. And I've got Super-2 in the studio. DK and, not JB, we've got DK and DG. He's DG sub.
Oh,
He's been solving the country's problems over the last 2 days on Zoom calls. You've been a busy man, sir.
I have been a busy man, but not the kind of busy I like to be. This is the kind of busy I like to be, talking about cricket.
While there are G20 meetings happening in Delhi, Mr. Bhattacharjya has been thinking of issues that cricket is grappling with. We'll come to that in just a bit. But how was your tryst with Mumbai traffic this morning?
It's been hard. Ganesh has been a bit of an obstruction in my life right now. He has made sure that the traffic, I've not seen this kind of traffic in Chennai. Where I come from, the Ganesh has not celebrated very differently. Here it was massive. So, I've had many darshans along the way, and I must say that is the good part of the traffic that I had, but it has been a bit of an issue getting here.
Right, let's talk about the cricket. What's been in the news? Not action on the field, but a reserve day for the final. Justified. A reserve day only for an India-Pakistan game on Monday. So your thoughts?
I can't even begin to tell you what I feel about it, because first and foremost, that's clearly a message going out saying this match is more special than other matches. And you have so many Super-4 matches, how can you decide that of these 6 matches, this is the only one that has it? I can understand you doing it for the finals. But if we go back and a lot of people will immediately show fingers and say that, why has this happened? India must have put pressure. Here's the truth of it. The truth of it is the ACC is a tournament which is done together by all the Asian nations. And it started from a very good place. It started from a place of after the 1983 World Cup, making sure that Asians get together as a bloc. The problem with the tournament is it's a bit of an orphan. So after everything is placed, every country does their own tours, they do it, they try and find a place to do it, which is why it's being held in perhaps the worst time, because this is the period when in the subcontinent around this plant, the most rain is there. The point is that of all these boards that you're seeing, the 4 boards that you're seeing, the 5 boards you're seeing, Nepal as well, the board with the most money and the least to lose actually is India. India can afford to take it if one India-Pakistan match doesn't happen. It doesn't make so much of a difference. But for the other nations, this ACC, the revenue that is going to be distributed from the ACC is a lot, and it matters. And therefore, it's not India who's pushed it, but most of the people must have said, make sure the first India-Pakistan match was a washout. Make sure this India-Pakistan match happens, because if not, our sponsors may not pay us. If they don't pay them, all the other boards don't get paid. So this is one situation where I say I do not think it is it's the BCCI who's put any pressure, because actually, to be honest with you, the BCCI has the most money in its coffers. They can afford to ride a situation like this. It doesn't matter so much to them. But for the other cricket boards, there's a substantial amount of money. And even if their coaches had said that, we are not happy about it, they would have said, look, the money from the sponsors must come in. It is vital for our boards, our under-19 cricket, our coaching academies. And that's why it's happened.
Yep, there are various ways to look at it. A lot of stakeholders. As a broadcaster, there are different cricket boards. So maybe we don't have the complete picture, but yes, it does seem a bit odd. From a cricketer's point of view, of course, I can't ask DK about this issue, but from a scheduling point of view, is this a rare tournament where you've seen, I don't know how many venues, Multan, Lahore, Kandy, and now Colombo? Have you ever played in a tournament that goes to 4 venues? Not a World Cup, apart from the World Cup.
Generally, in one country, there are a few venues that you play in. There have been Asia Cups in Sri Lanka where they've played in Colombo, Kandy, Gaul. But to have 2 different countries, 4 different venues, probably that hasn't happened. It's very interesting, Joyda's point of view, that, a lot of furor in social media is about the fact that BCCI has done it. But it's interesting to hear that that's not the case, maybe. So, in many ways, people need to have a aerial view as to how things work and how things happen. So, a very interesting take on it. I thought Joyda's version of it was pretty interesting to hear. And the scheduling part of it is spot on in terms of how they try and place it, because sometimes this tournament gets lost. They've brought a lot of attention to it by staying with the same format that they're going to play in the nearest World Cup around the corner. The last time it happened, it was a T20 tournament. This time it's a 50-over tournament, but held across various venues, which becomes logistically an issue for the teams traveling. But as we said, a lot of the teams, for a lot of the countries and its boards, this tournament is a very important tournament that happens in Asia.
Yes, on Twitter, I've seen a lot of people being very trigger happy, just happy to tweet without understanding an issue properly. And the BCCI, unfortunately, is an easy punching bag for most people who don't really understand an issue. A very different perspective from Joy. Let's talk about happier stories now. Cricket at the Premadasa Stadium, the R Premadasa Stadium. Do you own a piece of that land?
They should give it to him though.
Yeah, they should. Maybe they should name the pitch after him. That'll happen as well someday.
Because they've ensured that that pitch appears on the most viewed cricket clip of all time.
240 million views.
And 140 for the previous over.
Hashtag Nidahas Trophy in case you've forgotten, right? DK owns that plot of land, those 22 yards, do you?
And it's a beautiful plot of land, I'll tell you that. It is a great one to bat on. There is no doubt about that. It was a memorable night. We've spoken about it, the last time these two teams met. So I must admit that it is a beauty for the batters to look forward to. The outfield is absolutely lightning. Add to the fact that if there is a bit of dew, it gets even better to bat. So it is one promising contest. But as always, my biggest worry is the weather. I've heard there's a lot of rain around the corner this week, so I'm a little worried in that sense.
What are the conditions likely to be? Because as I said a couple of days ago, we don't really get to see much cricket in these other countries while our focus is mostly on India cricket. Our Premadasa, what are the conditions expected to be like in this month? Yes, you spoke about the rain, but tactically, pacers, spinners, what's it going to be?
It has a bit in it for both. You got to understand the pitch has been under the covers for a long time. It's been raining. There'll be a little bit of sweating that happens under the covers, which will keep the pitch a little bit spicy. The team batting first will obviously have a little bit to deal with from the fast bowlers. But if you get going, it's a great pitch to bat on. In the evening, again, it tends to swing and seam a bit. Overall, a great pitch to bat on. Spinners slightly slow at times, which helps them. Though you must say it, if you look at the overall picture, it is a batting haven.
Well, Bangladesh want to know what they will chase, and so they won the toss and chosen to bowl first. They find themselves in a tricky spot, don't they, Bangladesh?
Bangladesh, definitely. I mean, but remember one thing, that even if you see the group stages, they had a terrible defeat in the first match, and then they actually made up with their performance in the next match, and that sort of balanced things out in such a way that they were actually the only people sure even up before the last match was played. In this case, unfortunately, they've again done it. Their batting order has collapsed and they've given the other teams an opportunity to go forward. Bangladesh really needs to win this one. They still might be in the reckoning even if they lose this match, but that's really mathematical. You know, you'd have to have a whole lot of results going their way and then them beating India by a huge margin. All these are, things that you're surmising. At this point in time, it's a desperation stake for them. They have to win it. And they're up against a 12-0 record in the sense that, Sri Lanka hasn't lost a match for the last 12.
DK, it's a tough one for cricket boards as well, isn't it? Because typically teams go from World Cup to World Cup. That's the cycle. But it's unfortunate if the rebuilding process is so close to the World Cup. I mean, there are players like Shoriful, Shamim Hussain, Tanzir Hassan, Tamim as well, who are now being sort of brought in. They're still relatively new in their international careers. Is there a way cricket boards world over can look at this transition phase? Should it happen typically after a World Cup, regardless of the result? Because teams that do well are slightly reluctant to make those changes.
In an ideal world, yes. I think most of these changes that happen when a lot of the under-19 graduates do decently well in domestic cricket and hop onto the international scene, it happens post the World Cup because then you have a 4-year cycle to work with. But because Bangladesh's performance hasn't been great in the ODI scheme of things for some time now, they have now started picking the boys who have done well in under-19 and the ACC Emerging Trophy that happened recently. These boys have put up good performances and hence have been selected here. So here is an opportunity for a lot of the young lads. Yes, the grooming process is a system, needs a system in place because then you get them through domestic cricket, through your academies, and then you hope that they start firing at international level. So at this point of time, what Bangladesh is doing is not ideal. Having a lot of new players walk into the World Cup. Yes, you can have 1 or 2, but to have 5, 6 of them can be a bit of a stretch. Let's see how many of them hop onto that World Cup team. But for the moment, you got to understand that Tamim is not yet there. Mustafiz is not part of the team yet. So when all these players come back, you might not find all the names that you've spoken about, but the ones who have done well will definitely find a way into that squad, and a great opportunity for them beckons in India when the World Cup is going to take place in a month's time.
The one question that not just sports teams but corporates ask themselves as well is, are we future ready? And if not, how do we go about being future ready? Because this phase of transition is pretty much always going to be turbulent.
I think every team goes through transitions,
Yep.
and the big transition for them is that they are basically the four pillars of Bangladesh cricket for a long, long time, which is Tamim, Mushfiqur, Shakib, and Mustafiz. No, I'm missing. There's
Mohammedullah.
Mohammedullah. So basically, that generation is over, and this is their last transition play for this generation. I feel that yes, I agree with DK that I think they're changing too much too fast. Or just before the World Cup, they're saying, okay, this is a tournament where we want to see everybody. Once we see everybody, we'll come to a decision. Whereas the Indian team is saying, we have seen enough, this is what we want, we are already sure of what we want. I think there are two very different ways of looking at it. At this point in time, I favor the Indian view because one of the things which is important for players is certainty of knowing what you're doing, what you're doing, what the team is doing, or what your team's plans are. Are you a part of their plans? Are you not a part of their plans? And I think the good thing Indian cricket has done is given them that clarity. Rare to see, but we are seeing that in Pakistan cricket as well.
Yep.
There's a lot of clarity about who's playing. They're telling us the night before, this is the team, this is what's playing. I think Bangladesh cricket needs that clarity at this point in time.
I suppose, therefore, the A Tours program is such a crucial element for any cricket team. That's where the supply chain sort of gets ready for bigger challenges in the future. What are the playing 11s like? Let's take a look at them very quickly. Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh. Let's take a look at the Bangladesh one. They won the toss and they've chosen to bowl first. Nasum Ahmed comes in for Afif Hussain.
Yeah, left arm spinner.
Yep.
Left arm spinner bats is a handy batter. I wouldn't say he's a top order batter, but he's a handy batter. But he's more better known as a left arm spinner. Obviously, they think this pitch will do more than what they were getting in conditions like this in Lahore. So they think the ball will do a bit more, it'll turn a bit more. So three spinners they're playing, front line three spinners they're playing, which is actually what Bangladesh is more used to playing in their home conditions. In that sense, I feel whatever it is, this Colombo pitch is more suited for a Bangladesh kind of cricket than say Lahore was definitely.
Sri Lanka won't mind spinners.
Yes and no. You got to understand, Bangladesh has a decent track record in the T20 aspect when they've played in Sri Lanka. The Nidahas Trophy, they surprised Sri Lanka not once but twice. Though in Colombo, their record is 11-0. They have lost all their 11 matches, Bangladesh. So it's nothing to be, afraid of. Here is an opportunity for them to go and obviously get their first win. And they're playing a team which they're very confident of.
Yep.
They always play with three spinners, Mehdi, Shakib, and now it's Nasum. Before it used to be, for the longest time, they used to have left-arm spinners who used to obviously bowl with the new ball. But now things have changed. They've got good medium pacers, and Shoriful, Taskin Ahmed, and Hassan Mahmood have done really well for them. So they are confident of their fast bowling resources. Their spin has been their strength. So they have a very decent team like we have discussed before. It's how they come together and play as a cohesive unit in this Asia Cup so that they can at least win a couple of matches, which they are very capable of.
Yep, they are on the cusp of victory, of history rather. 12 wins in a row, and Joy, in the recent past, they haven't had their first choice four bowlers.
Yeah, they managed to get across their line without their four bowlers, and I think that's a huge plus to them because that meant that they have the resilience to do it. But if you notice the results, the last two matches, the Afghanistan match, all of us know how that happened. But what I'm trying to say is that they know that they were in a situation which was their batsmen didn't have to do anything. The first match, fortunately, it's a Bangladesh batsman. The very first match of the tournament, the Bangladesh batsman gave it away.
Yep.
And therefore, they didn't really need that strength of bowling that they had.
Yep.
Otherwise, also, so they had an easy win. The next time, when they were playing Afghanistan, that bowling was actually exposed a bit. If you see what Afghanistan did, once Pathirana got hit, because Pathirana looked really good in the first match, but once he got hit, it's not easy for a 20-year-old, 21-year-old to come in. An international batsman starts stonking you. It takes a lot. So missing the experience of those four bowlers is vital. And the fact that they've gotten across the line again for the second time, though, thanks to some really bad mathematics, but they got across the line and that's important for them.
Yes, they were pushed. A lucky win, one might say, for Sri Lanka against Afghanistan. And they've got it unchanged for this match. Things seem to be going well. You happy with this unchanged lineup?
The clarity looks good.
Yep.
You have to understand that they won 11 on the bounce, so 12 on the bounce rather. So they definitely have confidence in the 11 that they're playing. They are playing without a few frontline bowlers, but still producing good performances, which augurs well for them. For me, what was a little worrying when I saw Sri Lanka is sometimes there are collapses in the batting. And sometimes the bowling, when they're pushed, they don't seem to have answers. Now, this could be an issue for Sri Lanka. Over a period of time, they have not actually competed in the ODI setup, but from the time Dasun Shanaka has taken up captaincy, he's made a good team out of players who have pushed their potential and done really well for Sri Lanka. What Sri Lanka need to do as a team is to not lose wickets in clusters. As cliche as it sounds, they have been at times guilty of doing that, which doesn't help them in carrying that momentum and having those 300 plus scores that they're very capable of. So here is an opportunity for them, but it will be hard at the start. How they deal with the new ball is going to be very critical.
Well, from a batting perspective, Kusal Mendes looked very comfortable against the likes of Rashid Khan. He was very happy to play that sweep from outside the off stump. Unfortunate to miss out on that 100, got out run out at the non-striker's end. But I suppose after having done what he did to Rashid, I don't think he's losing sleep over what the Bangladesh spinners will do, or will they?
No, look, I mean, Rashid is a good spinner, but look, Shakib is one of the world's best spinners. And in ODI cricket, he's a very, very experienced ODI bowler. I mean, Rashid is definitely he's a great T20 bowler. He's a good one-day bowler at this point in time. But in terms of, if you look at purely in terms of that, I mean, Shakib in this format of the game is a really, really threatening proposition. So I wouldn't take these Bangladesh spinners lightly at all. Bangladesh's strength has been their spinners throughout. And so I wouldn't take them lightly at all. He's a really good player of spin. The other thing that I would worry about, if you look at it for what Sri Lanka will be worrying about, is somebody like a Mohammad Nabi came and just smashed them.
Yeah.
And the fact that they did not seem to have any answer for that 7, 8, 10 overs. Yeah. And it happens that a batsman can smash you for a couple of overs. Then you sort of rejig and you start making plans and all that. They didn't seem to have a plan for him at all. And they'll be looking at themselves and saying that, can we handle this better? Can we look at it more calmly? We cannot allow a game where the game was taken away from them. It's a different matter altogether that Afghanistan couldn't finish. But a game that seemed to be won was taken away from them in the middle, and they didn't have the bowling resources or the feeling to be able to control it.
DK, a little more on Kusal Mendes. I spoke about how he was very good against Rashid with the ball going away. He's got two left-arm spinners to deal with in this match. As a right-hand batter, do you stop playing a few shots? Do you look at scoring areas? Do you look at going more inside out? Tactically, what should a right-hand batter do when there are two quality left-arm spinners in the opposition?
Speaking about Kusal Mendes, he's been a prodigious talent. From the outset, Sri Lanka have looked at him as the next big thing post the Sangakkara Jayawardene era. I think he came around when he was young and showed Sri Lanka how good he can be. But he flattered to deceive initially. He wasn't consistent. He was in and out of teams. Now, in the recent past, after he's been made keeper and just before that, he's solidified his place in the team. As a batter, they really look up to him because the one thing he does really well is loft the ball very, very well of fast bowlers. With spinners, he is probably one of Sri Lanka's better batters against spin. You saw how he took down a Rashid Khan. He's got his shots. He is also playing a few leagues around the world. So he's really promising batsman from Sri Lanka, and a lot of Sri Lanka's batting hopes rely on him because he has the potential, along with a couple of others. If they chip in, Sri Lanka has done well. Karunaratne has come back and is doing okay in ODI, but he has the match-winning ability. Even against India when they won last year in the T20 in Asia Cup, he played a terrific knock. So he is earmarked as one of the better players. If you look at how to play left-arm spin from his point of view, because he's short, he picks up on the short ball really well. He goes over mid-wicket very, very consistently. And as I said, one of his strengths is lofting a cricket ball, gets into good positions, low hands, gets under the ball very, very well. So technically, these are his strengths, but it's not been technical about him. At times, his mind has obviously not been as strong as it should be in certain situations where he could help Sri Lanka cross the line. But I would really wish for him to come good in this series because that will give them the confidence moving forward to do well, because you got to understand, Dasun Shanaka and Dhananjaya De Silva at 6 and 7 for some time haven't fired like they should. Yep. So it's been really, a lot of their hopes are pinned on him at number 3.
Yes, you're spot on, DK, because these are the numbers that Dhananjaya and Shanaka have at 6 and 7. Joy, you got to have better numbers in ODI cricket these days at that number.
Yeah, and 6 and 7, see, the basic issue is, you have two kinds of situation where you come in. At 6 and 7, what you expect is you may not get too many runs, because if your top order is scoring, you may not get too many runs. But then you should be getting then a lot of not outs. So if you see, one of the highest batting averages you had in the Indian team at that point in time was MS Dhoni. Yeah. Because Dhoni used to get a lot of not outs. I don't think they're getting that. And I don't think whenever they're getting their opportunity, they're not finishing that well. And if you look at that chart tells you everything. That 6 and 7 from 36, if New Zealand is a pretty strong team there. Bangladesh, I have to say, it's more a matter of their top order not firing than anything else. But Sri Lanka is just not getting any value out of it. As just above Bangladesh, and 21.57 is nothing. And that strike rate also is nothing to talk home about, because that means you're not finishing a lot of games.
Yep. Picking an 11 is a tricky one with these numbers for 6 and 7, because one is a genuine all-rounder, the other is a skipper. So how do you bench them?
It's very interesting to note that both have done well in different formats. Dhananjay De Silva has been the backbone of the Test cricket at number 5. He's done really well for him under Shanaka's captain and under Karunaratne's captaincy. He's done beautifully for them in Test cricket. Shanaka, on the other hand, has been a revelation in T20 cricket. He's in fact done so well that he's been picked in IPL and other leagues as well. Now, both have not come together and done well in ODI cricket. But from Sri Lanka's point of view, if you look at how their cricket has gone in the last 2 years, you will say that at 6 and 7 in different formats, they have been their best batters. So they're putting both of them together in the ODI format and expecting them to do well. For me, the 26 average that they have got is not a disappointing bit, but the strike rate is 81, which is the least among all countries, which says that they're not even playing at a strong clip for you to say, they're playing big shots to get out. So that they need to be worried about. Shanaka, from the time he's taken over captaincy, has been terrific for Sri Lanka. He has turned around their hopes in T20 cricket, won the Asia Cup last year, also in the recently concluded ICC qualifiers, won all 8 out of 8, and then they have qualified for this World Cup. So him as a captain is done really well. It is a case of him not putting together the skills that he has in batting. He just averages 20 after he's taken over captaincy at number 7, which for me is a bit of a worry. But again, he's a quality player. If he does well, I do feel that Sri Lanka can pose a good threat. At the end of the day, you want all teams to compete. And for Sri Lanka to do well, these two players form a very important part of that puzzle.
I want to ask DK one thing, because it's a very interesting thing you've raised about being a captain and raising your level of game, and your team is doing well. I mean, when you came to KKR, okay, you were batting at a finisher's position. And yet you took a very young side into the qualifiers, and you actually testing the side. So what were you thinking? Because from a place where you've come from a place where you're relatively batting freely, suddenly you're saying, I'm taking over this side. And this is a young side. There are not too many experienced batters out there. What was going through your head when you took over?
I was batting at 4 more often than not before I came to KKR. At KKR, what I decided is we had a young team. We had Sunil Narayan and Lin, who were obviously experienced, but not so much. Whereas we had at number 3 Nitish Rana, we had Shubman Gill. So my job was to say, I am there in the middle to provide all the cushion you all want. When you'll bat up there, bat freely. Just go for it. Just play the shots. Just do whatever is required for us to be at a healthy run rate throughout the 20 overs. And my job was to make sure if the team was going, we'd just stay with it. In case we lose a few wickets, hold the pressure, absorb the pressure for a bit, and then release it back on the opponent. And we did phenomenally well that year for a young team. Must say the average age of the team was around just early 20s, and the youngest team in the IPL at that stage to have gone and gotten 3rd place in the tournament, I think is something that we're proud of. But a lot of it was obviously Nitish Rana coming good, Shubman Gill doing well for us, Russell actually firing a lot at number 6 along with me. So my job as a captain was to absorb as much pressure as I could and make the youngsters believe that they can just go and have a free hand.
DK created quite a stir with his Instagram and Twitter picture the other day with some 6 bags. One of them was a kit, wasn't it?
Yes.
How was your net session in Delhi?
It was very good. It went around very well. Having had a hit and doing a bit of running and all of that, it went really well. I'm happy. It just feels good. It's a happy place to be.
Yeah, lots of curiosity around DK's next IPL campaign. We'll come to that when we will. For now, let's take a look at a question that's coming from one of you with hashtag Ask Cricbuzz Live. This is about spinners from Yash Shah. Oh, okay. Pakistan spinners are not complementing their pacers. Right, true. Sri Lanka's pacers are not complementing their spinners. Well, Pathirana may not agree. Afghanistan's spinners did not look as sharp as they did in the IPL. I'm not sure if I agree with that, but does India have the most well-rounded attack among Asian sides? Rashid Khan, 26 wickets, I think, last IPL. Noor Ahmed, 16 wickets in the IPL last year. So I think they did really well. But what do you make of that?
I think it's a true statement in a large context of things. Afghanistan are heavily dependent on the spinners, but they're definitely not going to be as potent weapons as they are in T20 format. Be it Rashid Khan, be it Mujib, be it Noor Ahmed. In fact, Noor finds it hard to get into the 11 at this stage with Nabi being there. Sri Lanka, on the other hand, are struggling with the same issue. The spinners, but Teekshana is the only one that they're very consistent, and Hasaranga, who is the superstar, but the fast bowlers haven't really complemented that. Pakistan, on the other hand, their fast bowlers are outstanding, probably one of the best in the world. The spinners definitely don't provide as much comfort as other teams are. India, in many ways, the fast bowling is sorted. You have Jadeja and Kuldeep, who are very able spinners. So it is a well-rounded attack India has. It's about coming together on any given day to create the damage that they are very well capable of.
Shoriful and Taskin Ahmed make quite a good pair now. They have the ability to trouble the Sri Lankan openers. Now, Shoriful is a great story, isn't it? He's slowly making a name for himself, making his presence felt, while the focus is typically on Taskin Ahmed, but this guy has been very impressive.
I think his pace is improved, the bounce he's getting is improved, and he's got that. He's now, see, what is the most dangerous? You ask any batsman what they don't like facing right-handed batsmen. They don't like left-handers who bring it back to you early. Because, that's the time when you walked in, your footwork is slightly tentative then, and he has that ability, bowl at pace and bend it back towards the batsman. So you're an LBW, or you're normally an LBW candidate, then you're worried that if the ball doesn't go and you're playing for it and it goes through the slips. So it's always any left arm bowler who can bring it back to you at pace from a certain height, whether it's a Stark or a Shaheen Shah Afridi, these are dangerous bowlers. I'm not taking his name in that league at this point in time, but I think he's getting better and better. And if you saw the last match, he really troubled the batsmen. I mean, that first spell of his that he has, he's really troubling them. I like what's happening. He's a young kid. Again, he's part of that to a 2020 Under-19 World Cup winning team. So I hope to see a lot of him in the future.
From the outside, for us, it's a great sight to see a left-arm pacer coming in and just giving it all he has. Not such a pretty sight for a right-hand batter.
It can be tough to handle, especially if they get pretty close to the stumps and they release it in such a way that it comes straight and bends back at you a little late. Then you're committing into a shot where you're looking to play on the offside, so you put your leg across and then realize the ball is going to tail in, and then you have nowhere to go. It's pretty much no man's land that you're caught. If you vividly can picture, it has to be KL Rahul getting out to Shaheen Shah Afridi in the 2020 T20 World Cup. Shoriful Islam is a terrific bowler. I think his biggest strength is with the new ball when he does that to the right-handers, and the fact that he can take it away to the left-handers. Along with Taskin Ahmed, they do form a very potent attack. And what is nice about that Bangladesh team is Shakib Al Hasan uses them very wisely, gives them short, sharp spells, and gets the best out of them. And that's worked really well for both these bowlers.
A lot of young kids watching who might want to go into the nets, right-hand batters, when they're facing a left-arm pacer of a certain quality, typically what do they do? Do they open up their stance a little bit, or is there anything they can do technically?
Yes, they can. Opening up their stance a little bit obviously helps them align with the bowler's run-up from the top of his run-up, A. And also you try and look to play from the umpire to mid-on as much as possible. If you end up looking to play to mid-off or covers, that's when you tend to go across. And if the ball comes back in, you always get caught in all sorts of tangles.
Wow, lots of lovely technical and tactical insights from our experts. Quick reminder of the playing 11, just the one change for Bangladesh. An extra left-arm spinner comes in. And well, this is the lineup. They've gone with three spinners. Nasub Ahmed is there, and so is it's a terrific looking bowling lineup. And they will be taking on a Sri Lanka that have gone in unchanged. Clearly, the strength of the Sri Lankan batting lineup is up top with Pathum Nisanka, Karunaratne. They expect some big runs for them. Kusal Mendes, the man in form. Samara Vikrame has scored a few runs as well. Asalanka, Joy's favourite. Dhananjay De Silva is always a subject of debate. So it promises to be quite a contest at the R. Premadasa. We're done with cricket chat. Joy, please take over.
Okay, just one question to go. And 4 Indian-born cricketers hold a specific record. 3 of them are Rohit Sharma, Kapil Dev and Simi Singh. Who is the 4th? So if you find out who Simi Singh is, it will probably be easier for you.
I have no idea. As always, I shall wait for about 7.5 hours and I promise to get you the answer at the end of our post-game show later tonight. Predictions, gentlemen?
We're looking at the whole score today?
Yes.
Or just the power play?
It's nice and sunny, sir. Full innings, please.
First of all, I don't think there'll be a full innings. I think there's going to be rain interrupted massively. So, it's going to be a really hard question as it is. With the rain interruptions, it's going to get tougher. But just let me throw a number there. What goes? 275.
Okay.
251.
I like the number 301. I really want to see the Sri Lankan openers do well, because if they do well, we'll have a new talking point for the mid-game show. Everyone has their own agendas. You guys go enjoy the game, and make sure you join us on Cricbuzz Combox at the 15 over mark. Bye for now.